We are live. Welcome to episode 490 of Morelia Python Radio. And tonight we're
Sweet.
joined by the crew from the last SoCal 2022 herp trip. Oh, and I
MPR
guess you're
herp trip.
taking Tom's place.
I
yeah,
can't really.
Tom's
I
not
can't
here,
do that. Yeah. I'm more of the help the story along, the narrator, kind of a guide you guys in the right direction when
This
going
is
through
very
your
true.
herping trip. Yeah. Think of me as a podcast Sherpa to make sure that you don't fall off the mountain. So
There
I'm
you go.
helping. Yeah.
I mean, hey, what's up, everybody in the chat? We've been doing these trips now, I don't know, Rob, since what, 2018, I guess it's been. We started MPR herp trips.
Yep, 2018, fall 2018.
Yeah.
Is that the first Australia trip or?
Yep.
Are we okay?
Yeah. So every year, we go on a couple. And this time we had obviously Rob was there, Justin and Chuck from Reptile Fight Club were there. We also had Tom there for a while, and then Chuck tagged in. They like tag team each other.
If somebody left, yeah.
Cool. I know how you feel, Owen, like from the last trip. When I know how you feel for this trip. You guys in Arizona finding all these cool things, and me at home. This kind of sucks. But
well, the thing is, before I sent you out there, I'm like, man, you're gonna find so many sidewinders, and I'm gonna be so pissed off because that's all I want to see is a sidewinder. That's what I wanted to see in Arizona, but like where we were and how far we would have to drive to get the sidewinder territory, it was ridiculous. So I'm like, man, and of course, like the first night, you guys are like, oh my god, there's like 14, and I'm like, I can't. This hurts so bad. Like I can't do this. I'm walking, and
I didn't realize you guys didn't find sidewinders.
Well, we weren't in the right spot. We just weren't in the right spot. I mean, apparently you can throw a stick and hit 12. I mean, you have to be in the right spot though. And I swear, I almost dumped a bunch of leaves over my tortoise so I could find him, so I could feel like I was herping with you guys. I just apparently it would, yeah. I
mean, the herp trips are such an awesome experience to me on so many levels. First, you're seeing your herps that you never saw before in their environment, which is always awesome. Hang out with awesome friends. Some you've already herped with, and sometimes you meet new people that you bring into the fold because, it's, I don't know. It's always one of those things. You got to be able to get along with people and have a good time with them while you're like basically living with them for a week. And and then you get to see amazing places, man. I mean, you're getting hands on and boots on the ground, so to speak, and you feel the environment, what the species has to go through to survive in the environment. And I don't know, man. It's just, to me, it's a great thing. So
you learn important lessons, like monitor what Rob eats for dinner, and that's what the portion you should have, because then there's a mountain and other things.
So we'll get into the trip in a minute, and everybody can, put their 2 cents in. But here's another thing that I always enjoy. I always come back with a list of music to research from Justin.
Justin's like, you should listen to these people. It's called Hitting Cat with a Burlap Bag. I love them. It's great. I'm like, wait, where is this come from?
He's like the best herp car DJ there is, man. I love it.
He also does the thing where it's like it's quiet for a little bit. And he goes, so what movies has everyone seen? Like, what do you guys think of this? And then it starts a conversation. He's very good at that too.
You don't realize how many roles he fulfills until
man.
In totality, you're looking back like, Jesus, did that
Christ, he did it all.
Yeah.
And he's like, also he's the like herping on God mode. He's like, there, a 2-inch snake just crossed the road. What are you talking about? Like, where was it? Jet black animal went that way, and he's after it. Yet no,
I got to pull my weight. So I keep getting invited.
We've talked about that, Justin and I, where I'm like, I as I'm herping, I'm like, first off, I feel like I'm so low on the level with everybody else who is like very good, accomplished breeders and herpers, and authors and somebody's a doctor or something like that. So I need to step up my game in order to keep being invited back. So I always I'm like, I gotta find.
We're just invited by default.
I know, right? Even though that's true, I gotta find one snake, and it's got to be a good one. Otherwise, Rob's gonna be like, and Eric, don't tell Owen about this one.
Yeah.
Like, just
I'll remind
up
you,
something.
you did find our first clobber eye. So
That is true,
yeah.
and I'm gonna hold on to that for a while. Like that's
a good
gonna
one.
keep coming back around.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
That's true, Owen. That's very
All
true.
right,
So I figured what we do to start with this is the Mr. Bob Rock. What is the other name? Bobby Pebbles.
It's Bob Rock, Bobby Pebbles. There's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Robert Boulder.
That's the official. That's the professional. That's what he signs on important documents.
So Rob is the magic behind these trips, where he sort of spends. I don't. How long do you spend researching these things, Rob?
I don't know. So it starts with the initial idea, right? Where we want to go. Maybe there's an item or two that we want to see. Start thinking about it, and then it sits kind of on a simmer for months in terms of actual like defining the plan. I don't know. It's probably 80 or 100 hours total of defining, like, okay, this one versus this one. We know, what we want to do, but then saying, is it this choice or this choice? And then maybe it winds up changing in the end. Saying, hey, like we got these two options,
Right. I feel like we could make a really cool video. Like I remember, what was it, Goodwill Hunting, where he was writing on the chalkboard.
That's
and,
what I mean.
Rob's inside his mind, and it like mind maps, and it goes to these.
I mean, you've all seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where it's just the things and the string, and I imagine that's what Rob has going on. But it all cohesively comes together in a successful trip. So I'm not complaining. So that's the process.
Pepe Silvio.
The Rob string things.
Yeah.
So since Rob is the he puts us in the spot, right? I mean, herping is you guys just had a show on this. Is it luck? Is it skill? Reptile Fight Club. But like, I think Rob's part of this is huge because he sort of puts us in the spot, right? We're in the spot. The snakes are here. You just had to be lucky enough to stumble upon them. So Cal, tell us, like, what was the overview, Rob? You would know best, of where we were and what we did and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think the intentionality was basically to be east, go to San Diego, and then go east from there and try and hit. There's so many different habitat biomes that are present there. The idea was to have a sampling of all of them. We couldn't really do as much in the sort of chaparral and mountain stuff based on the rain that was coming in, and the temps were really depressed. So that wasn't maybe as represented as the intentionality was, but so that stuck us more to high and low desert. But all of those things were kind of within the purview, saying, hey, let's do at least a couple days or 2.5 days on each biome. And then it became mostly Ocotillo area up to Borrego Springs area, although the stuff around Julian up to Warner Springs was, definitely worthwhile too. And that's very similar. I know for both Justin and I, Colorado and Utah respectively, that we just had that feel of, okay, the temp is depressed, but the sun is out. We're at elevation. You're going to have things either coming out to bask or flippable. And that was definitely the experience that we had. And then in terms of the Warner Springs stuff, really, it was more about stuff getting on the cruise, but we were on that PCT bit. And we can get into that later. But I will point out that so it turns out, I guess unsurprisingly, I'd heard talk of it on various hiking podcasts, but there's a lot of TikTokers and Instagrammers that are doing the PCT, or they're integrating that as part of their experience. And all this week has been full of rosy boas and helleri on the crawl across the PCT that these, TikTokers are walking up on. They walk up, Rosie just takes a spring. So I push, I love the show that Chuck and Justin just did. I thought that was great. The answer, like all of their ideal shows, is the answer is both. It's not one or the other, it's both. And that's a big part of it. And I would push back on saying, the timing was even right. It's always easy, right, for the locals to say this is I can go literally any day. There's no constraints on what I'm doing, whatever. you just have to take the good with the bad and, you know, embrace the reality of the trip that you wind up having. And I think we don't need to do soul searching and say, you know, look at it with regret and say, oh, if it was a week later, well, it wasn't a week later. Like, and that could just as easily have been the case last week. It's not even that the temps are dramatically different this week. It was that Rosie was sitting there, was, as the TikToker goes by, the TikToker had already flushed it when we walked by. There's no way to know whether that's what happened or it just wasn't sitting out, you know?
Right.
And I just, in terms of the luck thing, the thing that jumps out to me, right, is, heck, we're taking pictures of one thing that might put us to be the ones who save the, you know, the Desert King, or it might make it get splattered. That's luck. You know, I mean, like the amount of time frame we're taking pictures, is it working? Is it cooperative? Is it not? That's luck. Being on the right road, that takes research and skill. And then the ability to see it, that's skill. So it's both.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that answer. I like that answer. Yeah,
I agree.
What about
to that point, we could have easily been just as warm as we were this week last week in San Diego. So it's like, you don't know. And you know, it's like, I agree with you, Rob. It's like fishing, man. You go and you have the experience, right? And if you catch a ton of fish, great. If you don't, you had a great, you know, great time out on the water.
You got to make it fun either way, right? You know, and just embrace that. That's a big part of it. It's ideally there will be one or two things that really come through for you. That definitely happened, you know, this trip. Again, thank you, Justin. You know, one particular log will always stick with me a little bit, but no, it's all good. But I really do think that's the whole thing. And in many ways, it's like fantasy football. You can't make, you know, a defined good choice, but you can try and avoid bad choices, right? Your research and skill can avoid bad choices. You can't make the good thing happen, but you can avoid making dumb mistakes, you know, that sort of thing. So it's, to me, it's sort of the same.
Yeah.
Going herping in Pennsylvania in December, bad choice. Like, not a good one, but you know, you can set yourself up for success. Yeah.
And I mean, to your point too, is I think Eric said that, you know, it's about the people you're with too, right? So like, even if, you know, it would have been quote unquote warmer and we would have found more, like we still would have had a great time, and had so much fun, just because it was the group of guys it was, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was you know, it was cool to finally to be able to meet you know, someone like Chuck, right? We've known him since the early days of MP, and then to finally be face to face and not be typing over a computer or whatever the case would be. It's I don't know.
Human interaction.
It's much less impressive in person, isn't it, Eric? Yes, I know.
For me too. I know.
It's always
like, wow,
fun
he
to,
really
like,
is
Eric,
short.
Oh my God, he's down there. Yeah,
when the veil comes off, it's not good, people. It's not good.
Stay behind the microphone where it's safe. Yeah.
Yes. All right, we'll start with you, Rob. What was your favorite species of the trip? What was your favorite find?
I would say that, you know, at least on the high end, long standing thing, probably, I guess the thing I at least thought we would be able to find was the Zanata. Right. So in terms of, I don't know that was my favorite, but certainly it's the highlight relative to expectation. I enjoyed your gopher snake in particular. I thought that was super fun. And just being such a cool area, it's such a cool time for you to find it. You know, having it on the crawl, that's all fantastic. All the sidewinders was new to me. You know, it's funny. You get through the experience of sort of the normative, you know, okay, this was the thing I've never seen, and now we've seen, you know, more than a dozen or whatever over the course of the week. Yeah, thanks, Owen. You know, no worries.
No, if I go next time, not a single one. There will not be a single one.
No, I don't know. I
think in that area,
several
like,
times, and it's almost the one guarantee is you're gonna see a sidewinder. So if you go to that spot and it's somewhat warm and not raining, you're gonna see
and not no wind. Yeah. So
or lots of wind. Yeah.
Lots of wind, right?
Right. Exactly. Not no wind. Right.
Yeah. A ton of wind. Nothing.
No wind.
Jesus, that thing disappears. That is
insane.
Yeah,
totally. I think maybe my favorite whole interaction was the combination of that first sidewinder and then the second one shortly thereafter that thankfully wasn't You know, we weren't extracting from your leg. So I think that probably was my favorite, certainly favorite sequence, combined with all, you know, I love just the hikes and going out and all those things too.
Did Justin step over another rattlesnake? Like, was he right near another one?
So I kind of tend to wander off after we found something, and you know, you guys know Rob and his photo taking process. It takes a little while.
Justin just scampers down the street, you know.
So I kind of was looping around, and then I came back to where they were photographing the first Sidewinder, and I'm looking at them and kind of walking along and talking to them. And all of a sudden, a buzz right at my feet, just kind of like, whoa, that was, nice and close. So I'm glad rattlesnakes are polite and let you know they're there. It's
so nice to tell you when you're getting a little too close, you know.
Yeah. And I probably would have stepped right on it had it not have rattled. But so then there was number 2. So we right next to number 1 pretty much. So
wow.
Yeah, and I'm confident that wasn't there when we had pulled up. You know, they were just, that's the point, right, of when they're moving around and trying to do stuff, that it's like, it really to the point of your pictures on that sand habitat, right, they do blend in. And it was even then when we were taking a look at a glossy snake someone else had found, you know, I found myself almost stepping on the one that we had pulled over for, that they were looking at, because it just fits right into it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's and I think I found another 3 or 4 just kind of on the crawl out in the desert. You know, you just happen upon them. They're everywhere out there. They're pretty plentiful. So.
Wow.
It's maybe the one instance, right, where people in general, when people, especially non-reptile people, will say, oh, there's a ton of snakes, or it's infested with snakes and all these things. I've never found that to be the case. That area with Sidewinders, that might actually be true.
But that spot is like the perfect cruising spot, because there's these roads that service windmills or something, and they're beautiful roads, nice and flat, very few irregularities. You can go cruising for hours and you won't,
nobody's there.
Cars are down there. That's
awesome.
It's fantastic. It's like a herper's dream.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about we'll go around. What about you, Justin? What was your favorite find?
I mean, the Zonata, of course, was the find of, that would have made the trip worthwhile if that's the only thing we saw. So that was really a fun thing to see in its natural habitat and get some photographs. That was my first tricolor that I've seen in the wild.
That was my next question, because Justin's usually hunting for his first, like the hognose in Arizona that like slipped through his fingers, and getting the Zonata must have been nice.
Yeah, you had to remind me about the.
I'm sorry. That
was
you, Owen.
Yeah, much better to find them alive and also kind of on a hike. You know, that was another thing about Rob's planning, is he puts you in the right spots where you're going to be able to find them. So, to roll that log and just to kind of blink and say, is that what I think it is? Am I seeing what I've hoped to see in the last 50 logs? Then
the double take.
Finally see it.
Nothing here. Wait a minute.
That's it. So, hey guys, you might want to see this. But I really enjoyed the Petrosaurus mearnsi, the Mearns banded rock lizards. Those were a lot of fun. I've seen the Pilbara rock monitors for our Australian friends. I've seen those in the wild, and these lizards were very similar in habit, and their pattern and color were somewhat similar to Pilbara rock monitors, and just watching them cruise on the rocks was a blast. And that was a lifer for me too. I hadn't seen this species. And then we were on a hike in Anza-Borrego State Park. Is that what it's called? Anyway, we were on the Palms hike or whatever in Anza-Borrego, and another guy who was there taking pictures, I kind of struck up a conversation, and he said, oh, I'm looking for reptiles too. And, oh, did you see the rock lizard around the corner? I'm like, oh, I didn't realize they got up this high, So it was kind of fun to really see the extent of their range and see them in 2 different localities and kind of see the differences. But that was another species that was really fun to watch and see. And we saw probably a dozen or more. I mean, they were pretty plentiful in one of the spots that Rob took us to. So that was a lot of fun.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And I mean, there's a long list of cool stuff we saw. Can I do one more?
Go ahead.
Yeah, man,
I'll
go for it.
allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were checking, rock cracks. We were trying to find the leaf-toed geckos, and I saw a flash of white, and I'm like, oh yeah, those are here too. The granite night lizards, and I'd forgotten that they were in that area and that we were trying to find them. And I saw that
That's
white
cool.
and just those bold black spots. I'm like, oh sweet. I'm really glad we saw it. And then like it moved further into the rock crack. I'm like, oh man, I hope that's not the only one we saw. But then we saw this one and several others, half a dozen others. So that was another cool lifer for me as well.
Where were you guys at when you saw that?
This was at that same Boulder Park area over kind of
Okay.
down by the border. But in those granite boulders, there's all sorts of cool species.
That's
and we
awesome.
did get a glimpse of the leaf-toed gecko, but it was a very fleeting glimpse down a rock crack. But enough to see. Oh yeah, isn't that
cool.
beautiful? Such a great spot.
And is that Eric in the distance or Wander? Is that me? I
That
can't
looks
tell.
like Tom,
I think that's Tom. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right.
the Owen of the trip.
No one of the trip. We need to, there always has to be at least one.
Yeah.
Come now.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Chuck? What was your favorite find?
I like the banded gecko. That's I those are so cool. They're so little and so pretty, and just like when you see them, you're just like, God, how does this thing survive out in the desert? Like, but they're just they're just really cool.
Yeah, they look so delicate. Like, it's
right.
like they would fry out there or something.
Yeah.
But they're tough as nails. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that's probably my top. I mean, obviously, like it got a little slow once I showed up. So sorry guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But and I mean, obviously all those sidewinders were pretty cool. I really liked, so when we found that baby that was just like bright white, like it's so interesting to see how they go from that really bright baby to kind of that perfect granite color. They just blend in so well. Yeah, just was so bright and was just fun.
It is young. It only has it doesn't even have its rattle is a little bud. That's awesome.
And I guess I was really taken aback by how small they are. The one we found that had like 7 or 8 buttons on it really wasn't big at all, like much smaller than I kind of I would have thought. But yeah, just cool little snakes.
That was something when we were in Arizona. I was kind of surprised how big or how small the willardi was. I was expecting, rattlesnake, something that not diamondback, but something, and it was much smaller than I expected. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
yeah, these are bigger than those for sure, but not that huge.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess for me, I really like those granite spotted night lizards, man. It's weird for me to be picking a lizard and not a snake, but
what's wrong with you?
I don't know, man. They were really cool. It was like sort of like almost a gecko, almost a lizard. It
doesn't
was
know
like
what to
kind
do
of
with
this
itself.
in between type of thing, and I don't know. I really dug those. Obviously the sidewinders as well were pretty cool. But
your gopher.
That's probably
your gopher.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool. The funny, we were talking about this before. It's we're sort of walking around, and I think Justin and I think all of you guys were up on the ridge, and I was up there, and then I kind of walked down, and I was just walking, and I looked down by my feet, and I'm like, snake. I wasn't sure.
Is it?
Well, it just was sitting there, and I'm just like, that can't be real. I don't know. It was just weird for me, but because usually you're like, I don't know, it's trying to get away or whatever. This thing is just sitting there, just chilling out. But
that thing was nice looking too. It had the nice black and white kind of on the neck. It was really pretty.
Yeah, that was a solid find. That was a cool looking gopher, man.
Yeah, I'd have obsessed over that for a while. Like that. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I got to admit, I was like, wow, these might be cool to keep. No, stop. What are you doing?
No, you do monitors now.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think for me too, the other thing that was pretty cool about this trip is, on previous trips, I guess the last trip I went on, at that point I wasn't keeping lizards, and then this trip I was, so I was more in tune with lizards on the trip. There was one that we found. I don't know what species this is. Justin, you probably know, or Chuck, you might know. Or I guess Rob, you probably would know too. But,
everybody else would know.
Everybody
except you or
but
I.
me.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty cool lizard that
leopard lizard.
That's a
leopard
lizard. No.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of looked dragony, like like that kind of dragon type of look.
What were the lizards we kept seeing in Arizona? The black ones that we saw up on the rocks.
This Scaloporus.
They kind of look like that. I mean, they kind of look like that kind of stuff.
So that leopard lizard was really bold. It just kind of crossed the path and just sat there and let us get right up close to it. And usually those things are gone. They're pretty wary. I guess you can get up close to them sometimes, but they're beautiful.
You can when you got old Eagle Eye with you.
Yeah, you see it.
This was definitely a lizard trip, though. There were quite a few different species of lizard and some really fun ones. So
Justin found this really cool hands-on he got with the I'll share this one real quick. There you go. There you go.
Oh,
Nice.
Little Chuck.
yeah,
Little Chuck Walla.
yeah.
Mini Chuck versus Big Chuck. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know if that Chuck is more or less thrilled to be handled by Justin.
I don't know.
Yeah, I handle Chuck every week on.
Get off me, dude! Get off me, dude!
That's the same expression. Weird.
I think that Chuck wall that we saw in Anza-Borrego on that Palms hike was just phenomenal.
The
that
one
black
with the
head.
real
and-
black.
Oh,
head.
yeah.
the really light tan body and that thing was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love Chuck walls. They're so cool. And to get hands on one that's always fun too. So this one was much he let's just say that one picked the wrong rock crack. That was like a pretty small rock laid on a bigger rock, so I could just lift it up and grab him. It was not a big deal, But I missed him the first time, and he ran under another small rock. I'm like, dude, you got to pick better
then
rocks.
he
You don't
just
want
sucks.
to for grabbing you.
Man.
But,
Yeah.
It was nice to get some shots, and he had a little spunk to him. He tried to take a nip out of me a time or two, but yeah, cool lizards.
Oh yeah, the other cool lizard that we sort of kind of glossed over, I guess, was the little horn lizard.
Yeah.
Justin found when Rob was taking pictures.
See, Justin wanders off and he finds shit and he comes back. It's great.
It's because you got time for a union hurt break when
That is
Rob's
true.
doing his thing, man. You gotta,
And God help you if you are
Fan
his
out.
shadow at that point, because
Yeah.
if you have to stand there and block the sun, you're there for a while. Make sure you have sunblock, and it's fine.
You're on shadow duty.
Yeah, you're on shadow duty. Damn it.
Uh-huh.
So
I'm like,
That
hey,
one was
Doug,
pretty
come here. Come stand right here.
no, don't do
I'll
it.
be back.
But that one was pretty. That was actually prettier than the ones that we saw in Arizona, which is cool to see them kind of change in the color and pattern. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a different species too. That was Platy Rhinos, so the desert horn lizard, and I think it's a subspecies as well. There's a couple different subspecies, but the one we saw were the greater shorthorn lizards. The species Hernandez I believe is the species name on those. So yeah, it was fun to find.
That's cool.
It's always cool to see different species. I was hoping for that we might see the coastal horn lizard, which would be a lifer for me. But yeah.
Was it as dramatic as finding the horn lizard in Arizona? Because I remember that one. You were like horn frog, and then we were like on the shoulder.
Yeah, he was in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
He almost got greased. So I'm glad we got him off the road before he was pancake.
So was this one like, or did you guys walk up on this guy? Oh no, you said you were Rob was taking photos and you did walk up on him, right?
Yeah, we'd found that baby. I believe it was the baby sidewinder or the shovel nose, one of the two. And
it
so
was within the sequence of there were two. So we saw 3 really little sidewinders, and this was the 2 that were probably born, in the fall of last year.
Cool.
Yeah, and so while Rob was photographing, I walked in, and he was just sitting out in the open, like on the just like oh, there we go.
All right,
And it was beautiful. Just all that blue and fantastic. Yeah.
You setting up a tank for them yet? I mean, eventually, every time you're like, I can put these in my office. It's like, no, dude. Like
it's kind of like Eric's moment though, where it's like snake,
snake,
lizard,
snake,
horn lizard. What are you doing? Why are you sitting out in the open? Didn't you be buried down or something? Like, what
here, get out of here. Wait, no. It's like, yeah.
Anytime you walk up on something sleeping like that, but he was sleeping peacefully, but we put him back where we found him. So hopefully
sleeping peacefully. Bunch of dudes grabbed him, a lot of pictures, then we put him back. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like what we did to that echidna in Australia. So
so I'll start this one and we'll go back around the other way. The takeaway from the trip. So the thing that really stood out to me is how when you're looking at an animal and its environment, how perfectly camouflaged they can be, and like how just crazy on like, so for instance, I took a picture of this rock, right? We were looking for the speckled rattlesnake, and like come on. Like, I mean, it looks just like what you would expect it to look like.
There's not one in this picture, right?
Nope.
Okay, good.
You didn't see it? It was right there. You didn't see that?
That's what I'm worried. It's like,
we probably walked past a couple of them.
Well, that's
like
the
that.
thing. Like, I'm waiting for Eric to be like, I took this picture of a rock, and lo and behold, there's a freaking rattlesnake sitting on it. Like,
well, I mean, I could see not seeing it if it didn't buzz at me.
Dang, yeah, that's
yeah, that one picture I took of the sidewinder just in the sand, just from like,
oh my
it just
God.
disappears. I mean, all you see is the eye and the tongue,
Jesus.
and it's just gone, but it's right there. So I don't know. It just gave me a better appreciation of natural occurring, what their colors and patterns look like in nature. And I think it's sometimes for us in captivity, especially if you were keeping them basic, whether it's on aspen or cypress or whatever, paper, whatever it would be, you sort of don't get that appreciation of that animal and its environment. And then when you see it there and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And, I don't know. That was my big takeaway.
That's why it looks this
way.
What
about you? Yeah. What about you, Chuck?
Oh man. I think one of my big takeaways was that you have to be careful with the gas station food that you eat. those
it's a hard lesson to
learn.
Those don't ring the bell.
Yeah, exactly. I think she served us up something good because Justin was not very nice in the beginning. I don't know what happened.
You guys. So I ring a bell. Come on. It said ring for service. What are you supposed to do?
Oh, you rang it.
But and we've discussed this though. I feel like not every bell that says ring for service really
needs to be touched.
Ring for service. You know what I mean?
And to be fair, I hadn't seen the woman before I rang the bell. So if I would have seen her first, I probably wouldn't have rang the bell. But
I think us seeing her carrying a giant box to the back, we were like, nah, probably lay off the
maybe
bell.
Not a big idea.
And I felt like we were all kind of like,
hey, I said, should I ring it? Like, yeah, go for it.
No, you weren't like, should I ring it? You were like, ding, 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 ding.
Oh, like I say, was it once or was Justin like, where the hell? Why I want service?
Man.
Like,
hear ye.
So, but I feel like Eric, me, and Rob, we combined up our order and we like smoothed it over, but it didn't save me from the taquito. It didn't save me from the bad taquito. So
it hasn't got to the point where they're like, where Justin comes over and you're like, who are you, sir? Like, I don't know who this person is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, it wasn't that bad, but clearly, bad things can come of it. I think from a less comic relief aspect of it, you know, my takeaway was, even though you can know something is there and you can, you know, have some of the best herpers around with you, herping is still a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of energy, and you know, you just got to be prepared to come up empty and say, man, that was still great. So I think, you know, I kind of feel like, you know, when I was seeing stuff from trips, you don't really understand how much time and energy goes into those pictures. You just see the pictures and you know, it's just kind of you know, oh, there it is, right? But I definitely have an appreciation for how much time it takes to find a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you're road cruising, that's lazy man's herping.
That is lazy herping. Yeah. I mean, we talked about that a couple times where it's like somebody posts up a YouTube video and they're like, look at all the animals that I have found, and then later you find out that they spent a month in this area looking for animals. It's like, well, all right, but you cut them kind of, and so you can do everything correct and still strike out, or you can do everything kind of semi-correct and just have a really lucky day. So herping's just roll the dice, a part of it. So yeah,
and it's funny too, because I mean, I felt like when we did that evening hike on, what was that, Friday night, that we, well, when Eric found the gopher, like I mean, there was, every bit of me was like, there are snakes, there is tons of stuff out here, I know it, I know it, but just nothing was moving, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, that's that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was very snaky habitat for sure.
Right?
Yeah, I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. They're all here, just not here. Like it is. Yeah.
I guess it could be timing. It could be a lot of things. You know, it's just it's one of those things. It's just What about you, Justin? What was
taunting us from the out from the bush? Yeah.
I think so. When I'm herping, I get more kind of that one track mind of find the snake, find the herp. And I think I really enjoyed, you know, kind of some of the downtime that we had and watching Eric play guitar, or, you know, like watching
you were blessed with a shredding session, were you?
It was fantastic. Like,
okay.
I mean, I had heard he was good, but I hadn't seen it in action.
Hadn't seen it.
Like, it was like a fish in water, you know.
His little hobbit fingers going down those strings. Yeah, I got you.
I'm like, do you know this? And like, before I could even finish the song name, he was playing it. I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, so it was really good. But I really enjoy these trips, not only for the reptile aspect, but with hanging out with friends. You know, it's just a fantastic thing, and kind of building those commonalities. And so, you know, a lot of times you think, or when I'm herping, I'm like, okay, spread out. I don't want, you know, don't sit and talk to me next to me, spread out so we can find more stuff, you know, but it is nice to have friends close by where you can have good conversation and stuff like that. It's probably better than finding, you know, 90% of the stuff we find. So herping with friends is what I kind of took away from this one. It was a great trip from that aspect for sure.
All right. How did he do on the Simpsons quotes? Did he do okay?
He did. He threw out a couple himself. It was really impressive.
All right.
Coming along nice.
Getting there.
Soon
I
you'll
made
have
the
a
hikes. I made it to the end of the
Mikey.
hikes, Owen. I only shed 5 Schmitty tears on the long hike.
How were the hikes? What Schmitty tier rating did we have on the hikes? Like,
well,
2 to 3.
I got a funny story, and then we'll get to Rob with his takeaway. But this is a funny story, right? So we go on this hike. What would you say? It was 7 miles, maybe 10 miles. I don't know, 7 to 10 miles.
Schmitty tier. Yeah.
So it was ups and downs and whatnot. But so we're coming back, and Justin and Rob, in true Justin and Rob fashion, decide that they're going to climb up the mountain and come to the car from from up top, right? And I'm like, well, that's not happening for me, so I'm just going to keep going straight here because I know my limitations. So they kind of disappear, and I'm walking, and I guess at this point it's windy. My hair is all blown all over the place. I'm beat red from the sun. You know, I'm just like in a daze, right? And this older lady is like walking into the trail, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, yeah, I think I'm good.
I think so.
So I'm walking, and Justin gave me the keys, and I walk up to the car. So there's a brown car, a tan car, a white car, and a tan car. And for some reason, I think it was tan, maybe it was gray. But for some reason, I thought that Justin had a gray car, right? So I walk up to the first car, and I'm hitting the button, and I'm like pulling on the door, and I'm like, damn it, it don't work. Oh, wait, it's the car back here. So now I walk to the third car, and I'm doing the same thing, and I'm like pulling on it, and people are looking at me in the lot like, what is this guy doing?
This dude is bringing the cars.
I'm like, I was right the first time. It's the first car. So I walk back to the first car, and I'm like pulling on the door. I'm like, what kind of voodoo magic is this thing? And I'm looking at the remote. I'm like, do you have to do something special? What's going on here? And then I slowly turn around, and it just so happens that I saw the plates on the white car in between, and it had Utah plates, and I was like, I'm an idiot. So I'm like, I get over to the car, and by that time Tom was coming, and we were both just like, oh, we're done. We were just sitting in the car waiting for Rob and Justin to come back, and just like rolled down the windows, and there was just like a silence that we're just not going to talk.
No talking, no speaking.
Don't say anything.
There's no need to mention anything that just happened to anybody else. Yeah.
Eric's in his head thinking, God, that lady was right. I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
I know. I started to think like maybe there is something wrong with
I don't know. What the hell did she say?
Am I dehydrated? I don't know. What was that lady picking up on? But yeah, I must have looked like I don't know. I must have looked a mess. But yeah, all good. So I don't know. Sorry, Rob. What was your takeaway?
So I agree with all the stuff that you guys have said. I think the one thing that was a real lesson to me is that all the cactus and related flora in Southern California is unlike that in West Texas and Arizona in its viciousness and ability to get mobile and get into you in ways that, I mean, West Texas has some really long spines that definitely you'll feel. Arizona sort of the same situation, but holy moly, those the low and high desert cactus in particularly that low desert stuff down by Ocotillo is certainly something. Well, I guess that's high desert, right around the boulders and all that. There's some that they look like dandelions, but they're locked and loaded, and then there's another one up at Anza Borrego that maybe is the traveling cholla, something like that. That I felt it go on my foot, and half a second later, I felt my foot brush into my leg.
God.
And it was like 70 barbed hypodermics in one go. That was certainly something. So that was different.
They don't pull out easy at all.
I'd be
100%.
Like, dude, I was cut up in it. I threw my socks away in Arizona because of all the crap that ended up in her shoes. Just like, I mean, and I was carved up, and it was one of those, you don't realize how wounded you are until you're in the shower later, and you're like, why am I? Oh my God! Like, and there's just cut marks all over you. So like, I'd just be stabbed all over the place with that thing.
So I noticed Tom was all scraped up. Was that from? Did the desert do that to him? Or?
Yeah, 100%. He was definitely a total mess.
I thought so. I just didn't ask. I figured, like, oh yeah, battle wounds happens,
Yeah, I mean, I would do this. I would probably do the Tom thing of like, I must go this way, and I'd go through the vegetation, and then I get on the other side and be like, why am I bleeding everywhere? So
I still think I prefer the cacti to those seeds or whatever they were in Arizona. Oh my gosh, those things were horrible, and they just get in your socks, and you'd have to stop and spend 15 minutes pulling those seeds out of your socks.
I think I found them in my shoe, like tucked underneath the tongue, several weeks after we got back. I'm like, no. So
I don't know, man. I watched Rob pull those spines out of himself. It looked pretty fucking horrible.
It's true.
It looked pretty horrible.
We went to Hellhole. It was Hellhole Canyon, right?
Oh, it was Hellhole Canyon, all right.
Hellhole Canyon, right?
Yeah.
So
Good name.
So Justin and Chuck are battling burritos, and Rob's battling cactus sticking out of his foot. Like,
Dude,
oh
we
my
all had our own
This is
battles.
the whole
Yeah, I think
canyon
it was,
for
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The funniest one to me, especially in that it just sort of resolved itself within the last couple of days, to the unfortunate circumstance of several of you who've then seen the picture. The very first night we're there, right? So that first Sunday, we go to the place with all the boulders and all that, and we're sort of making our way back to the car, which we wound up bypassing, going an extra 90 degrees past the location we wanted through some pretty rough business, especially, with no light. It's not that bad with light, but without light.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
this
you
is
can
sort
get
of
turned around.
inside all of that stuff, as opposed to this is the pretty outside if you're kind of in and amongst it and going up and down. And so we're walking along, and I must have brushed against one that then immediately snapped off at the level of my skin, so that I could feel it. And all of a sudden, it really impaired my calf. Like I could feel it, and I'm like limping. Justin can speak to, I come up limping, but I can see just the barest sliver of something, and I can feel it moving around in my leg. As I touch it, I'm like, we got to go to the Ocotillo Chevron and try and get some tweezers and figure this out. But it was just like, man, it was gone right up into the calf, and I could feel that it was in there, but it was like, well, we just got to let it cyst up and wait, and we can see what happens. So it came out, what was that, 2 days ago? So that was being in there, just on 12 days, 11, 10 days, something like that. And then it came out super easy, no worries. But I pulled it out, and the thing must have been almost 2/3 of an inch long.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure, Justin, Tom was with us at the time. You two are like, oh, he's fussing about, effectively a little splinter or paper cut or something. Then I pulled it out. Even I was impressed. I was like, wow, okay. I'm glad I was able to do a full week with this thing in the middle of my calf. Holy
with a samurai sword in my leg.
There's always somebody injured on these trips. I mean, what is it? Eric said that he had some his legs were bothering him. I'm like, this is what happens when you go on trips without me. Bears, injury, bears. Like stop leaving me. Yeah.
Eric, do you have that picture of the field of the cholla? You got, I mean, even though they're deadly, they're gorgeous. Like there's some beautiful.
I think so, yeah.
They're pretty from very far away. When you get up close is when
you got to be careful walking around through them. But yeah, I mean, and to show also kind of the treacherous nature that what Rob was speaking to, and at the base of all of these, like kind of out in the open, is like you said, these little balls of spines that are kind of traveling, the little pups that are waiting to be moved to some other spot. And so you bump one with your shoe, and then your shoe passes your calf and it just sticks right in you. They're good at what they do, but
and I think we were talking about this, but like, who are these people who get loaded on peyote and then go wander through the desert? Like, bad call.
Yeah. So many other good places to do that. Like, come on.
Oh, this is a good picture of it. I think, Justin, know what you're talking about. Just like,
my God. So there's nowhere safe. Got it.
The one I was thinking of is the sun was going down, and they're lit up through the spine.
Oh yeah.
I think you sent your sister a picture of it or something. Yeah. Really, they can be really beautiful in the right light.
Right. As long as they're not in your
when they're not bleeding you,
they're not deep within your calf, they're okay.
Right, and they would fill the little dandelion type, right? The part that would fall off, and it would just get accreted and all amongst all these boulders. So that's part of it too. Is you're looking into all these different cracks and crevices and things. And not only do they have granite night lizards, beautiful chucks, leaf-toed geckos, but also these things, so that you just get loaded up and they'll pop through your shoes and all that. I would say that it's sort of in the same vein, but in a way that, just always is something to value. I'm glad that, we've yet to make, an O'Shea adventure. And I want to keep it that way and perpetually, keep that.
An O'Shea adventure is somebody dies, right?
100%. Okay. And so fortunately, this again fell into that box, and, that just a reiteration that's always objective one. So I think we achieved that, and that's really good. So at the end of the day, it turns out I guess I hadn't given it much thought, and then it was like, okay, actually, this is my principal goal. It's great to find stuff. It's obviously great to have a great time, all these different things, but that's really goal number one. And so that I will make sure to make that a priority.
Small maimings only. That's it.
Yeah.
Small maimings only. Yeah. Jesus.
Only dehydration and confusion can happen on the trip.
Yeah,
Anything
no,
else is not
And
acceptable.
if we go further than that, not great.
No, it's not good. No.
Agreed.
So is that what you would learn from this trip that you might do differently next time as far as tech, equipment, preparation, anything like that? Would you do anything different, Rob?
I think the one thing that really jumped out at me is, and Justin had brought these before, but the binocular thing I think is a really good call, especially in areas where we're anticipating areas or time of year or whatever it might be, where we're anticipating a lot of lizard activity. Some of that stuff, as Justin, you pointed out, was so reticent if you're not looking at it either through, with some sort of magnification, right? Whether it's the camera or the binoculars, it's a tough ask, or at least I think some of that we could have saved ourselves some of the trouble by scouring from a distance as opposed to getting up into it. Obviously, there's stuff you might see when you're a foot away that you can't see from a distance. But I know even when we were at the Anza Borrego spot with the gopher, I was standing there going, man, I really wish I had binoculars, because there are different imperfections, what I think are imperfections in the rock and all these different things, that it's like, well, I have to now go try and take 10 minutes to trek over to close enough to that rock to validate that, instead of if I had magnification, I could assess that more easily.
Yeah.
Did Justin bust out the drone at all, or
I had it? I never brought it out. I think I didn't charge it, and we tried to plug it in and charge it, and it wasn't working. But I would echo that. I mean, when we pulled up to that boulder spot, I got out the binoculars and I was just kind of scanning the rocks, and I saw 4 or 5 different lizards kind of just within the field of view. And as we got closer, they each disappeared, and some of them had a pretty distant comfort zone, so they were disappearing when you were quite a ways away, and you wouldn't normally see them unless you had the binoculars. And I think the chuckwallas really fall into that. I mean, we were on several hikes where people were like, oh, have you seen a chuckwalla? We're like, yeah, we've seen half a dozen. Like, what? No, where do you see them? Like, they're everywhere. They're on top of every rock pretty much. If you look at a distance with binoculars, you're going to see them. Whereas if you're waiting till you get close enough to see them, they're probably gone by that time, or on the other side of the rock, or hiding. So yeah, they're very wary.
I definitely learned that chuckwallas have better eyes than Chuck does. It's right there. You don't see it? No, I don't see it. It's right there. See the rock go over like 5 minutes later. Oh, I see it. Okay. Like after everyone's already moved on, I'm still standing there befuddled. Like,
so both chuckwallas and chucks like to wedge themselves into cracks and expand, fill themselves with air. They're really hard to pull out of there.
I don't know what that is.
I don't recall this happening on the trip.
When did that happen?
Yeah.
Chuck was very confused. It was after a long hike. No.
It was a 9 Schmitty tier hike.
Oh God, his only legend.
I'm glad though that I got to do the hike, so that I have because I wasn't there for the Smitty tier thing, right? But I heard about it, you know what I mean?
Well,
but I had no scale, you know what I mean? I needed scale, and now I have scale. So
Justin just threw that out in the beginning of the Arizona trip, where he's like, how many Schmitty tiers is this trail? And then that was it. And when something golden like that happens on a herping trip, it must now be like it chiseled into it's rules now. It is now gospel. Like that's it. We're done now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it becomes a legacy event.
It
right?
is. Yeah. And the problem is that as herping trips go, and you end up spending so much time with each other, of course you get goofy, you get stupid, and weird stuff happens. And then Eric's speaking in his German accent about this, and I'm imitating some sort of angry wombat. It's very odd. You gotta have that. So
Eric has great impersonations. You wouldn't like he doesn't bust those out often, but you almost have to be on a herp trip with him. But man, he can do some good impersonations. I was really impressed.
Drunk at a carpet fest. It's the only way to see them.
Yeah, I can do it there too. That hasn't happened in quite a long time, but yes, very true.
Man,
yeah, I don't know.
Many talents.
I don't know, Chuck. Did you have anything else that you would do differently on your next on the next herping trip?
No, I mean, you know, I think what everybody has said is probably covers the basis of it. I mean, I don't know what I don't know. So, you know,
right.
I got to see the things that we should do better. And I agree with what everybody said. So that's pretty much the, you know, like, new mistakes to be made. I don't know. Choices to come later. I don't know. So,
so I guess for me, like each time I sort of do like an assessment of how could I have lasted on the hike longer, or how could I have, you know, so this time, Owen, I bought hiking socks, dude, hands down the greatest thing I ever bought. I had no calluses, no nothing. It was great.
You weren't trying to like, you weren't trying to do what I would do in Arizona, or I'm sorry, in Australia, where I'm like, I must try out these shoes or my feet will die.
No,
like it's like,
yeah. And Tom, you know, it was cool that we had Tom on the show like what was it, a couple years ago, Rob? Probably, maybe 3-4 years ago. Probably.
Yeah, something like that.
Right. So we talked to Tom, but it was funny. Rob sort of like, I felt like, you know, Rob was the dad and he's putting like the two kids together in the playground, and he's like,
play nice. Yeah.
Eric likes guitar and Tom likes guitar, and it was like, that's it.
be friends now.
Yeah,
Tom brought a guitar, so
so that's the tech that I would bring in the next trip, dude. He had this like little guitar. It's like you wear it on a backpack, man. It was, I don't know, it was like this little loot thing. It was really cool. I like that thing.
We didn't get Eric on top of the boulders playing in the sunset though.
Yeah, to get like a fan that blows his hair. Yeah.
It was definitely the proper guitar if Eric was going to be like a traveling musician, you know, just going from town to town.
You know where it would have been perfect? At the Hobbit hole. That's where it would have been great.
If you had given him a guitar at that Hobbit hole,
guitar
would not be back. Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. It was a great trip. So I guess the last thing that I would say is, I guess we'll go backwards again. Rob, what species did we not see that you wish you would have? Was there something that you wish you would have seen that we didn't see?
I would have been super excited to see a rosy boa for sure. That would definitely fall into that box. That was probably the thing that I thought was, you know, within the range of possible, that then we weren't quite able to pull together. But as I say, you know, I think that's just where you have to have, ideally, right? This is where it's important to not only like a very small number of things, right? Not going to Australia in the context of saying, and I understand why we did, right? But it puts a ton of pressure to say, okay, I want to go see a carpet python, you know, an insistence that we see a carpet python. It's like, if you appreciate everything that we're seeing, you appreciate the lizards, the amphibians, the snakes, all these different things. There's so many different options that can fill your bucket of saying, hey, this was a success because we saw these other things. If I was sitting there going, well, the only thing I care about is a rosy boa, then all that other stuff, you know, I could see perceiving it as a failed trip. And maybe that's why I tend to have this view that, well, each trip is great in their own way, between the experience, you know, as Chuck and Justin have talked about, and the animals that we do see, is trying to appreciate everything and looking at it through the lens of each one of these things is cool in its own way. And it's on me if I fail to appreciate that that's the case, right? The Miranzai, right? They're awesome. They're like these pilbarenses, you know, all these things. And it's like, if I'm not appreciating that, then that's my fault. That's on me. And every trip, there's several things that are in that box where I may or may not appreciate it. I might be wanting the Willardi, right, in Arizona, or the Clobberai. And if we don't see those, or a Senecolus, right, that would fit into the box. Some of those things we saw, some of those things we didn't. If it was only those things, that's a problem. But instead, if you can appreciate everything, then there's always something cool that we wind up finding.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's Yeah, man. You know, it's probably was more me just wanting to find a carpet python than you, Rob. But that was more me, man. You know, I appreciate you.
We're all walking, and
lumping
Eric's
us
like,
both
"Where's the
into
carpet?"
same box, but no, that was me. The only thing I was worried about on that first trip was finding a carpet python, and that was it. You know, nothing else could I care about, nor did I. It didn't matter. I just wanted to find a carpet
That's
python.
why he got
Luckily,
you one early,
found
so
it
that
like
you guys
right
could-
away.
I would say that
yeah.
the good news about that was then we got it out of the way super early, you know, on that the trip up to Cairns and surrounds. So that was the one thing. Then at least the pressure was off. Functionally night one, because you guys had, you know, missed the flight delay and all that. It caused you to more or less miss the first night. So the ability to hammer that out with two of them nonetheless within the first functional, you know, hour of after twilight on your first night where that was true. Awesome. Happy to do it, you know, and then it relieves that pressure.
Right.
Justin does really good on the pre-trip like night, like, you know, before everybody else arrives. Justin's out there and he's like, "Oh my god, I found
Look at
rock
that smile on
rattlesnake."
his face,
And then
dude.
like
Look
this
at that.
trip, I'm watching. I'm like, I'm showing Melissa. I'm like, he found desert tortoises. Look at this, and nobody else is there. Like it was. So I mean, Justin keeps all doing this whole pregame thing before everybody shows up, and he totally crushes there.
He was herping in his own backyard though.
Okay,
that night.
Yeah, all right.
I'm still amazing stuff, but just the distinction
look at that.
You know.
That's not the one that we found that one on the trail. I don't have the picture.
Oh,
of the one
damn
that
it.
Justin found. But yeah, that was cool. I'm with you. Yeah. So, but I shared that for you, Owen.
Thank you.
I know how much
Thank
you
you.
love turtles and tortoises.
I almost grabbed the gopher tortoise in Florida when I was herping with KJ, and he's like, federal law. I'm like, okay, right, sorry. So
back away.
Away from the tortoise. I'm like, okay.
Justin, anything you wish you would have saw that you didn't see?
Oh man, there's a few targets down there that I'd love to see. Some of which are pretty, you know, somewhat out of reach almost. The barefoot geckos, Swatakai, and they're the relatives of the banded geckos, and they do occur there, but they're very, very infrequently encountered. So if we saw one of those, that would be like, yeah, really crazy. But that would be neat to see. I'd love to see those just because it's another endemic gecko that you can see in the area. I wish I would have got a better view of the leaf-toed geckos. I wish they were a little more active on the trip. It would have been fun to see those out and about. But you know, I was happy to see one, but it's not the way you want to see it. You know, you want to get a picture of it or something like that. But it was cool.
I'm gonna get a proper nipper slap for not finding that gecko.
Yeah, and I also agree with Rob. It would have been great to see a Rosie. That's another one that's eluded me over the last 4 or 5 times I've been down there. So I need to find one of those someday. But that's what keeps you going back, right? That's you can't find everything because then it just becomes, like
if you found everything the first trip, what the hell was the point of going back? I mean, just cross that off. Never go back here. It will never be the right time, or you'll never
Then you just want to get better pictures or see another one or whatever. I don't know. It depends on the draw of the place. If it's sort of, I feel like it's probably going to be a while before I go back to West Texas at this point, based on the experiences that we've had a great time on those trips, but it doesn't have that same innate appeal. So it can sit to a further back time, but whereas the Arizona and even this one, fit into that box of saying, ooh, I could see, giving this another go in a different time frame or whatever.
Right. And also because we did really well in certain places, but there is still stuff that we missed. Like I would understand going back to Arizona, but targeting tigers as opposed to like some of the other ones, even though you know now where to find, clobbered eye, willard eye. So maybe you spend a little more time trying to find, tigers, or you try to find something else that's kind of in that area. So, yeah.
This book's pretty thick, man. So, I mean, there's a lot of snakes to find.
Gila monsters. Gila monsters is another one I would go back for.
That's one you can't see enough of. Like you can't see too many Gila monsters. They're always cool to see, Same with a lot of things are that way. I don't know, I guess.
Yeah. 100%. What about you, Chuck? Was there something
back for timbers, so
that you were hoping to see?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen a Hellerai or even a Ruber would have been cool. I'm kind of like Owen. I like the rattlesnakes. So I thought I was kind of really hoping that those April Fools trail tricksters were not messing with us and that we were going to see a Hellerai. But the Warner Springs hike was not our hike apparently. So that's all right though. I'm sure we'll get them next time.
Yeah, we did find that. Well, I think it was Justin that found it. I think I have the picture of it somewhere. It was, I don't know the speed. Here it is. That crazy skink that tried to get away a couple times.
Yeah. The Gilbert eye.
Is that what it was? This one?
Yeah, Gilbert skink. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty good size too. Like, it's fun to see.
And don't eat pancakes before you're about to go on a hike, Owen.
Well, I mean, obviously. Who did that?
I did that.
Well, who knew that those things were like, able to feed a truck full of lumberjacks?
4-foot diameter.
They're like
this.
Yeah.
I remember looking at the menu and I'm going, I should probably get eggs or pancakes. You know what? I'll get pancakes. It's only 2 of them. How much can it be?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It wound up being basically exactly like what you described out of that burrito place we went to in Arizona. It was essentially in Sierra Vista, right? It was essentially the exact replica of that, where it was like, oh, okay, cool, man. You just got 2,000 carbs sitting on your plate. Like, good luck.
Well, Rob takes a tiny bowl of chicken and rice, and you're sitting there with a burrito the size of one of Eric's dogs. You're like, I've made mistakes, but this is good, so we're just gonna keep going. Yeah.
It was worth having to run down the trail to hit the bathroom. I'm prairie dogging it.
I would have liked to have seen more rattlesnakes, I guess. I guess would be the one thing. But the rosy boa, to be honest with you, probably pre-trip, I was like, that would be cool. But into the trip, then I was like, that would really be cool. It's in America. It's a boa. It's that's pretty neat just in
Rosie,
itself,
So
yeah. So, but I think for me, here's another thing that I took away, and I guess it goes to Rob's point earlier, is kind of like I even was interested in birds and plants, and so like I guess for my next trip from Arizona, I did buy a field guide to the birds of Arizona.
Say how many birds did Justin cross off his list?
Keep up with the doctor there,
I found five new species.
Oh my god! I loved it when he was pulling over, and he's like, we're all like looking down, and he's like, no, it's up there. What is it? It's a red-shouldered hawk, and we're like, wait, what are you?
When we pulled up to, we were parking, and I was driving, and Tom said stop. Back up very slowly, and I'm like, what? Wait, what? So I back up, and he said, look over there, and there was a red-shouldered hawk sitting in the tree. Beautiful. One of the most beautiful raptors I've seen. It was really cool. So I was glad he spotted that, because I would have totally missed it.
It's I don't know. I guess because like I like the whole thing. I guess it's Rob's cosmic octopus thing. It's like kind of how it all fits together, and how it's how this is all working, and looking at one thing might lead you to a different thing, or make you think a different way, or about things, or I don't know. That's
that. What was it? Indian Canyon, where we drove up, and the the rock that you showed, that granite, the white granite rock. It's just, I mean, that was probably the coolest thing in that canyon, was seeing those rocks. And I mean, the prospect of seeing a speckled rattlesnake that looked the same, the same colors, those rocks, was really cool. But I mean,
cool.
that was one of the coolest things, was to see some cool rocks, like you're saying, you got to appreciate it all.
Well, you know, you're already the kind of person that is willing to go on a vacation to wander through the wilderness and bleed to look for like reptiles. It's not that far of a stretch for you to also be interested in like the other flora and fauna that are going to be nearby. Like it's really not, it's a small push to get you interested in other stuff.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's a cool shit.
It's pretty desolate. That was
I was gonna say. I mean, you know, in Anza Borrego, that's prime bloom season for. So there was a lot of flowers out, like poppies. You know, just tons of stuff that was kind of going off. I mean, a lot of the cactuses were starting to flower. So yeah, it was. I mean, like you know, to Bob's point, you know, there is really no, if you put yourself in there at kind of the right, you know, there's always, if you're into nature and you're more of a naturalist, there's always stuff to see out there.
Yeah.
Cool. There was to see palm trees in the middle of a desert was kind of crazy, you know.
Cool.
Like,
and those were all burnt. Those were all burnt. They had a fire go through there, and it had the little sign was saying that it had taken the entire tops of all of those palms, all the frond off, and and it was only like a year or two or something, like it was not that long ago, but that has all come back. So even though the trunks are all burned, you know, that's a kind of a testament to the vigor of the desert.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was a cool spot. I like that
water,
that trail.
Yeah.
It's just I mean, I guess we've all been there, right? We've all been, you know, watching Planet Earth or David Attenborough all the way back from since we were kids and stuff, and like to go to the environments that, again, I guess for me, maybe not for you guys that are out there West Coast, but probably for me and Owen, it's like completely different than anything that's here. So it's extra cool, you know.
Yeah,
it's so different than what we got, you know. There's no ticks and
that's dirty old New Jersey. We don't go there anymore.
You know, so. San Diego County and into the desert is one of the top 5 ecological hotspots in the world. We have one of the most highly diverse habitats, you know, in the world. And so a lot of, you know, the plants and stuff are very endemic, and those, you know, the fauna that inhabit that area depend on that specialization. That's so cool. You know, you guys really got a treat to kind of get to see some of that.
Yeah. It was am I wrong in thinking, Justin, that Utah kind of looks similar, but it's more red?
Yeah, I mean,
we've
got some really nice red rocks and red sandstone. So that's more granite-y, but this was in Utah. We have a lot of sandstone, at least in the deserts. Yeah,
that's definitely a spot that I'd like to complete the desert tour, if you will, after Arizona. would be Utah.
Yeah, I've got some good spots for you.
There's I was watching what's the hike where you hike up and you gotta kind of have to hold on to a chain or whatever
Angel's Landing in Zion. Yeah.
Did you ever do that?
Oh yeah. I was always bugged that there was a chain there. Like,
of course
you need a chain. You don't deserve to be up there.
Use your hands.
In my head when I was watching it, I'm like, oh man, if we ever go to Utah to this spot, this will be one I'll have to tap out of because I can't do the hikes. I can't I'm just watching
I got my wife up there 2 years ago or last year.
Really?
We went up in February, and she was not too like it was a little rough on her, and it was a little high and kind of nerve-wracking, but and I mean it's a busy hike. I mean, we were there in February, and there was traffic. You almost couldn't get. You had to sit and wait for people to come down so you could go, up, and vice versa. It was pretty.
The trail was littered with them people, huh?
Yeah, people.
Trying to get away from them.
Growing up in Utah and being there when I was a kid, like there was nobody, you're the only ones up there.
As far as the eye could see.
Yeah. we were in high school. I went down with some friends and we went on that hike, and it was during like it was kind of starting to have some rain and stuff, and so we were trying to make it up to the top, and so we were kind of cruising and running. We get up to the very top, and all of a sudden the lightning and thunder hit, and we're like, oh crap, we gotta get out of here.
This was a poor decision.
Yeah. So we as soon as the thunder, like we heard the thunder, we just turned right around and ran back down.
No doubt.
But
No
what a
doubt.
cool place. So yeah, I love Southern Utah. I mean, that's my, where I grew up, and my dad took me out there all the time in the desert, and climbing rocks is second nature.
Yeah.
I love it out there.
I think Utah has some of the best geology in North America, hands down.
Yeah, 5 national parks will attest to that.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All right. Rob's got a friend.
Arnhem's here. Yes. Good boy.
We'll definitely have to plan that Utah trip, though. Just let
Rob,
me
I have Ruby sitting right here next to me, so she doesn't bark.
Oh, awesome.
Zero's not allowed in the house while I'm broadcasting. He has to be outside. So
we forgot about this one too. Coach whip.
That was exciting to get hands on a coach whip.
Did you have to dive for this one? I mean, like, did Justin sacrifice his body for it? That's usually what you have to do.
We did have to reach into kind of a thorny plant there. It wasn't too bad. But
that's pretty. I mean, wow.
It was a younger one. Maybe he was dumb, but allowed us to
play.
Because I was with a bunch of the East Coast guys, Keith and the other guys that came out, and then the local guys from Utah, and we had a coach whip surrounded around a tree, and there were, I think, 6 or 7 of us around this tree, and that thing ran loops around the tree, and none of us got a hand on it. It was insane. Like, they are very fast, very smart, highly alert snakes. So to get one in hand was definitely a very nice.
I think the only one we got in Texas was because it was on like death's doorstep. So it was like,
yeah, that was cool though. I get thinking like the snake's perspective is like 4 monkeys standing around this bush, just like, why are these monkeys won't leave me alone?
Yeah.
What are they doing? They're getting closer now. What are they trying to do?
This was a shot of the this is a pretty cool, just to show it's how different the habitat looked. The temps were it was 56 underneath that. It was under a stump, or a log, I guess. So it's 56 under there and 78 outside.
Wow.
Ground temp.
78
in the sun,
horrible.
right?
Yeah. In the sun. Yeah.
Right.
You figure it'd be trying.
The
to
ambient
do
was
something.
probably the low 60s, something
Probably.
like that.
Wow.
So
that was one
cool,
thing
though.
I'd need to do differently is bring a freaking coat. I was a little chilly on some of those. When it was raining, I'm like, why didn't I bring a coat? It's sunny Southern California. No coat needed. I was wrong.
Well, and Eric, you'll appreciate this. There was one instance actually on that very same trail where we had the experience of Justin flying by. It starts raining and Justin goes careening by. Ah!
Again?
It's like, oh, okay.
Later, suckers.
Yep, 100%. You were talking about the rain in Utah after you'd gotten up there, and I was like, oh, well, I've seen what that looks like.
That happened in Texas too. He just ran right past us, and we're like, I guess that was Justin. Yeah,
but I did back up the car so you could have.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
It was very nice. No worries.
Much appreciated. But overall, I thought I had a great time. Another one to put in the books, and getting ready for the next one, Arizona.
Next one is Arizona, and that's June, right?
June,
yeah.
So we're coming up on that quick, right?
Can't wait.
Who's going on the June trip?
Yeah, who is going? Nipper?
Owen
Me?
might be busy,
Justin?
right? Is Owen a little busy that time?
Owen's a little
Little bit.
busy all year. I mean, Owen is
But a little cash pour, maybe.
Owen's a little cash poor.
Have
right
you have
now.
you forfeited your privileges for the year?
Yep, they're gone. So gotta let it. Just gotta be okay with it. Keep going and just applaud you guys as you do very well. Next year, I hope to be back in good solid order.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's all about capital, man. It's all about your marriage capital. You
That's
can't
right.
spend it. You
Build it
spend
up
it all
now.
at once, man. You got no marriage capital to.
I know.
You know?
It's, of course, I
right.
keep saying that if I watch Rob and Eric leave my wedding to go to Australia, I'll be up against the window like crying. Just, no, take me with you.
That might happen, man.
I know it will. Just don't tell me. Just do it. Like, just I'll figure it out later. Like, don't. Yeah.
Eric's just crying.
Yeah.
Great wedding, man. Congratulations
Gotta
to
go.
the two of you. But we got a plane to catch, bro.
Yeah,
So
we gotta be in the
flip.
Kimberly in 5 minutes. Wait, what? Yeah.
Rough scale expedition 2.0. Here we
No,
go.
you can't do that. You
Oh,
can't do that without me. I refuse.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that to you. But,
Thank you.
But yeah,
But no,
okay,
that's-
man.
I think Arizona would be another great trip. So Arizona is a definite another trip, and then do we have another shot at another California trip? Are we planning other things, or Australia opens and we can screw
That's
the United
Australia
States?
after this, man. Except for Utah.
Okay, except for Utah.
Yeah.
Once Australia opens, we're done with this U.S. crap. Yeah, it's just back to Oz.
I think probably for us, Owen, on the East Coast, we should probably do more like like a day trip type of stuff.
I like that.
To fix your fancy, so you get a little herping under your
If
belt,
I don't go with you guys and find a goddamn copperhead the next time we go herping, this is getting ridiculous. We're like, I was half expecting you guys to be like, oh my God, there's a copperhead here in California. It's so weird. It was just, yeah.
I think Robert has copperheads up by him. I'm not sure, but he's got a lot of stuff that we could go up there and check out.
Yeah, I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, man.
Next time I go down to Florida, I want to get out and do some more herping down there because that's just fun. You know, the pygmies, Eastern Diamondbacks, alligator.
Yeah,
like
being like Chuck and being a rattlesnake guy, I kind of like want to see them all in the wild, and you know that's not an easy feat. So
it also hurts Nipper every time we find one. It's just like another smack to him. So, yeah.
It's like a crumpet he can't have.
Oh, mate. Oh, love that guy.
I have just the other reason I can't go to the Arizona trip, he would leave my body in the desert. I have pissed him off far too many times. So
yeah, starting tomorrow, I gotta start hardcore working out, man, because he's gonna be like, Eric, what has become of you, mate? What's going on with you?
We don't all have tactical training, Nipper.
The whole time.
Yeah.
I don't want any crazy pics of me with a crazy hat hood or something and sitting on a rock. But that's all good.
I don't know why it just kicked in right now. Oh
yeah.
man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. But I don't know. Is there anything we forgot? Anything else you guys want to hit on, or
any other snakes that you guys, or snakes or lizards you guys
I think
saw
we
that you
got
did
them
not
all.
mention?
Those granite spiny lizards were cool. The ones that had kind of that greenish sheen to them. They were really shy though. Kind of those darker ones.
What was it was shovel nose or
shovel nose? Those are the coolest.
Yeah,
coolest snake.
that was pretty cool.
That I was like,
I got
what the fuck is that? And I'm like zooming in on it, and yeah,
that's my top target for that area. Those things are awesome.
That was cool looking.
That's a good call. I guess I don't know why that's a pretty cool snake.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, man.
Tiny. That thing was
that
tiny.
is tiny. And Justin saw that in pitch blackness with a blindfold on.
Yeah.
While we're blaring music into his ears, he said, "Snake that way," and then we all went and followed him, and it was right there. Yeah.
Oh man!
Wow.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
It
Robert's
looks plastic. Like it looks like something out of a child's toy. Like that is insane.
That's a beautiful snake. Yeah.
If you'll notice, it's red touches yellow. You know that should be
that's
very similar to it's the same color scheme as a coral snake. So, yeah.
And when you get all jacked up on Sweet Lady DDP, folks, you can do that too.
Yeah.
That was my. So I had this joke all planned when we drove up to pick up Eric at the airport. I had a 2-liter bottle of DDP, and I was gonna sit there and guzzle it and he didn't even notice. I think he was jet lagged or something.
Yeah, no, it's because people just take it for granted. They're like, "Oh, there's Justin chugging Sweet Lady DDP again." Like
normal.
Yes, exactly.
That's like me and a coffee, man. I mean, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how it goes.
I even wasn't saying anything, trying to attract his attention to, hey, what's going on in the front seat? What am I missing? And instead Eric's just like, wow, these guys are a bunch of jerks. And Tom's the only one talking to him.
Eventually, one day we will be brought to you by Pepsi. One day we're gonna get that, and we'll
that's
be good.
Coke, man. You don't even have it right. What are you doing?
Oh, shit!
That's over.
Crap! Ruin that.
Now you get neither sponsor.
Now I get nothing. Yeah, this is why we don't have good sponsors. So
Well, like when you first get in, I mean, you guys have already herped, and it's like, I'm getting in. I just came off the shitty flight because flying from the West Coast to the East Coast
it's
sucks,
the worst.
Man.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
And I was just pumped to be there. It's just like, yes, here finally. So
yeah.
Sorry.
They stand outside with a little sign that says Mr. Burke or MPR. No. Oh, shoddy.
No.
Damn.
No. That's only for you, Owen.
Goddamn right it is.
There's that security woman at the airport not letting anybody linger for more than 5 seconds. She's like, move along. I kind of messed with her. I was just driving, like when I was picking up Rob, I was
slowly
just staying like a couple feet ahead of her so she couldn't tell me, but she knew what I was doing. So she kept trying to walk up to the car and I'd speed up a little, like just stay out of her.
And that's why the taquito lady wanted to kill us.
Right there, that mentality.
Right there. Yeah, that's it.
Oh wait,
that's it.
We forgot about the other part of the trip. Owen,
yes.
Here's the secret to herping: caramelized onions, my friend.
Fair point.
Yep.
All right.
If I get good caramelized onions, the night will be good. If we go to a restaurant, I get shitty caramelized onions. Oh, it's going to be a bad night.
What constitutes a good caramelized onion?
It's brown and caramelized, and it's just delicious.
But then, this is
the key part is that they actually understand what he's asking for.
Right.
Yeah.
And, he'll say, "Oh, I want some fried onions," and they just look at him like he's got 3 heads.
Like, onion rings? Do you want onion rings?
No,
cowboy straws? Oh, fried onions. You mean sauteed onions? Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Oh,
with
I'm
your
sorry.
Fancy verbiage out here on the West Coast.
Listen,
sauteed,
in
please.
Philly, you ask for it with whiz and onion and onions, and that's it. You just walk away. Everybody knows what you want.
It's because in California you have to say it right.
Fancy, yeah.
Yes. So, well, I don't know. I guess
it's all right.
I don't know. Anything else?
Did they at least understand him when he ordered a water? Like,
he did beautifully.
Okay, good.
He did beautifully.
I shall have a water. Like, did he have to stop and pause through it? Water, please. Yeah.
So
it always causes more problems when he tries to say it, not Philly. It causes more problems. They're like, "What is wrong with this thing?"
What's wrong with you, sir?
I've just embraced that it's going to be water. It is what it is.
That's it. They'll figure it out.
Say your name, Teener.
I think I said that where did I think no, I was on the plane and the lady says, do you want anything? I said, I'll have a water. And she looks at me like, what? Like a water? And I'm like, no, water. And she's like, oh, water. Okay, all right. God damn it.
Hey. Before we go, though, I just want to give a shout out to Justin's herping buddy, Trevor.
Explain, because there's something with that one now too.
Alan
A mystical creature.
Alan was out in his Lizardland spot out in Ocotillo, and so we went and we were gonna say hello, and he said something about, oh, tonight's gonna be good. Wait, what's the name?
Trevor.
Trevor's
here.
out herping. Trevor's gonna do some good herping or something, and I'm like, Trevor. And so we were all excited. Oh, we're gonna meet Trevor. You know what's gonna go on with Trevor? And we had all these ideas of what
the
Trevor
scenario was
that
Trevor was the naked herper, that he would run around the desert naked herping.
Yes.
You know, in the ridiculous conversation that happens in the car as we
yes,
go
that
cruise,
does,
right?
as they do.
I don't know who suggested he would be naked. I think that was a Chuck thing, but anyway.
Well, you just told us about the Finnish or Danish birder who birds naked or whatever.
Yes,
so I think
that's
that was
exactly
yours.
where it
Right.
came from. And it was actually it was an amalgamation of your Finnish bird herper and Trevor the Ocotillo nudist.
And we get there, and we're like, and Alan introduced us to his two friends that were there, and neither of them was named Trevor.
No Trevor.
Never heard
Trevor.
of anyone
Where
named
is he?
Trevor.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
went
and I kept
back.
calling him Noah.
We went back and read the text, and
Yeah.
Trevor was in the text. We still don't know what the hell's going on.
I
So
kept
we never
saying
did
his
see
name was
Trevor.
Noah. Like Noah. And they're like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about,
What's
Eric?
wrong
Go back
with
to
you, dude?
sleep. What's wrong with you? I'm like, I keep calling him because of Trevor Noah. I'm just like, damn it.
Apply the hood.
Yeah.
I got Eric.
dyslexia
Apply
in
the
my brain.
hood. You know, it's after dark.
It's too late. Put the hood on him.
Shh, quiet.
Easy. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it was a great time, man. I'm glad everything
That is the
went well.
problem. Is when if you're herping and your sides hurt because you've been laughing so
Yeah.
much, it's a good trip, you know, and it gets you past all the other stuff, and you can keep going a little bit longer. I imagine there've got to be some trips where you're out there with people and it's just so awkward, weird, and just you want it to end. Like it's
Yeah,
So-
we introduced the term lem crack as well. That was Jeff Lemon.
Yeah.
Jeff Lemon found like this crack, you know, on the rock with like 12 ruber kind of lined up, and we're like, "Where's our lem crack?" We got lem crack. That didn't sound so great. So yeah, yeah.
Of course, then you used it more. Like the
Yeah,
second it
of
doesn't
course,
sound quite
of
right.
Yeah.
Yes, we were
Trevor's-
in search of the magical lem crack.
But yeah, I got a lot of cool video. We got
Good.
that video of the glossy snake just disappearing into the sand, which was
Yeah,
pretty neat.
that was cool.
Cool.
I
Those
didn't
will
know
all
they
be
did
up after
that.
we get the interns to do something. So yeah.
Oh, Owen. Oh,
What?
Owen.
if you let up off of them, then it's no, I will not spoil the children. Like it is,
Eric still has to get you to do something, Owen.
I do plenty. Just shut up.
I'm a behind the scenes man here. Ho ho whoa whoa.
Yeah. Slow it down here, man.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there
Yeah,
with you.
see, yeah.
Co-hosting.
That's it.
Yeah, true
Yeah.
co-host style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an
Come in.
idea man who's been busy.
That's right. That's
Many
right.
ideas that I have.
Right.
He's in charge of discipline. There you go, Owen. You're in
Thank
charge
God.
of the discipline.
Ooh, it's not looking good for you there, Owen.
No, it does not.
Yeah, I guess for me, I would, my final thought would say is, like I say this all the time whenever we talk field herping or whatever, but if you haven't done it, I would highly recommend it. Even if it's just in your local backyard or whatever, just get out, see the environment, see the animals, get hands-on, you get a whole different appreciation for, just how awesome nature is. It's just, and if you can go with a couple friends, whatever, it always makes for good stories and good times. And yeah. So hopefully when I'm old and sitting on my deathbed, if I make it that far, that I'll remember the stories and, And we were talking about that the Stalking the Plum Serpent, and it's just like a book about herp stories, and like I don't know, man, it's just like the greatest thing is just listening to other people's herp stories. I think it's
somebody's gonna write a book.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I got my.
I'll be happy to be mentioned in at least one of your guys' books. Like I imagine one of you is going to do it. I imagine Eric's will be a pop-up book as well. So like the snakes will come out at you a little bit. So it'll be fun.
Bigfoot will be in there. Yeah.
And now I hate you. So now you've ruined it.
Yeah, there was a couple tree breaks and stuff. Oh, and then I almost sent you some.
All right. Oh my God, it's in California now.
We're right in the territory, man.
Shut up.
High desert yeti is a thing, bro.
No, it isn't.
Oh, it is. No, it is. Go to a small town in the high desert, and they'll tell you all about the high desert yetis, dude.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's related to Bigfoot, Abominable Snowman, and Loch Ness Monster. All of it.
Right.
Yep.
Imagine how many spines that thing gets, man. That's right. I must have taken 200.
He travels that. I mean, that's what I'm saying, dude. That's
that's directly. That's why they act the way they do, right? Is so that he can be their source of
that's like a cactus bus. You know what I mean? Traveling in mass transportation.
Right there is why it doesn't exist. It would be dead. It would bleed to death of all the things that were in it. Yeah, no.
It's just a big hairy thing full of spines.
Just spines running around.
Very angry and upset.
This is a horrible existence.
Yeah. I'm mad at you, Owen. Yeah, we decided, Owen, you should just embrace Bigfoot. It would be really cool if you just all of a sudden out of nowhere just said, "Yeah, I believe."
We've had that conversation where it's like if you were like, "Owen, what'll happen if we see one in the woods?" I'm like, "I have to kill you because I can't go back to society with it." No, all proof would have to die right there.
We just need to drop. Owen off in like Eureka. Just off the coast. He'll come back a month later, just like I'm a believer.
No, I refuse.
I'm telling you.
Excellent. So, any closing thoughts from you guys? Go ahead, take it out, and I don't know, go around.
Echo what Eric said. Get out and herp. Get out and see.
Yeah, man.
It's
plug the Fight Club. What's the next episode or something or other?
Whoa, you can't put us on the spot. We never worked that far ahead.
Got it. Okay.
Never worked that far ahead. Yeah,
it's something.
Well, I can tell you what it is. It's Silly Billy.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I screwed up the order of the shows coming out in so
it's saving the best for last.
Yeah. So I don't know what you guys. What did you fight about
with Billy? That was mentoring. Like if you should train under a professional breeder. Learning on your own.
It was a good one.
Mistakes.
Yeah. Wait, you can train under a professional breeder? That's an option? I just stumbled through life and somehow got here. Like it was.
That explains a lot, Owen.
Thank you. I mean, somebody can show me things.
I was on your side for this topic then, Owen.
Oh, thank you.
I defended our honor.
It's weird when Justin and I are on the same side. It just doesn't connect well. So yeah.
That's come up a few times. A few people we've spoken to on the podcast have like been working for bigger breeders and things and so herping with Rob in Utah, hearing his stories, working at Nerd. I mean, you get a lot of diverse and experience with a lot of different things,
and that's awesome. I would almost feel like working for somebody who's got a big facility and can kind of show you the ropes sounds like a way better option than what I did, because
we knew a guy.
So much heartbreak here. Like it's
that
so
works
many
with
things.
a big reptile company. I don't know. Maybe it's that guy right
I don't know. There's no one I can think of. He's over there. Okay. Yeah.
Rob, would you equate your love of many different species of reptiles to the fact that you were exposed to something like that?
I think that's certainly part of it, especially in terms of maybe specific animals that jump out, like mertens, right? Having those the exposure to those Mertens 15 or 20 years ago really made a difference in how I feel about those in particular. I think the other part of it, though, that fits into that, and maybe this is how you can, it can work either way, right? Depending on who's available, what the situation is, because I could see it just as easily being a negative if there aren't any good influences. Would be, I think a big part of it was, kind of preceding the hyper selectivity or hyper focus that came about, with ball pythons and that sort of stuff, so that a lot of books would be on a broader suite of things. And even Reptiles magazine from inception through the late 90s into the early 2000s was on a whole bunch of different things. And even at the time, maybe it's not, oh, these are interesting, but it starts something ticking in the back of your mind. So taking in all this content is a little bit different because there wasn't the hyper focused content that maybe, I understand the appeal of it. I probably would be sucked into that too. But between the two things, certainly, obviously, you guys have met Tom now several times, and great guy who's been, super influential to me, seeing the stuff at the zoo accordingly, volunteering out at the zoo, and then pro exotic stuff obviously as well. So 100%, I think that's all intertwined. But I think part of it now, if people don't have that influence, is just being so hyper focused on what they're interested in or think they're interested in is probably part of it too. Whereas if you just absorb everything you can get, I think inherently from that, you're going to have a broader experience.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Okay. All right. I don't know. Chuck, any closing thoughts you got?
No, I mean, it was an amazing experience. I really feel, it's grossly ridiculous that I live in this backyard and it finally took my friends to drag me out. So that's an embarrassment to live down, but one, with a man with no shame can do. So, here I sit, but it was just a great experience. I love all you guys. I had a lot of fun. And I hope we get to do it again. And
yeah, man.
If my house, I hope Rob's okay. I know my dogs are intimidating little mafia affiliated mongrels, but
it was fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, Chuck. It was awesome. And the weather, didn't allow us to do extra things or whatever, but just hanging out was super cool. Seeing your stuff, your generosity, your family's generosity, all that was fantastic.
Well, really, you guys, if we do another trip and it works out that jumping off from my place or using my place or just if I can coordinate any logistical stuff from here, I'm happy to do that. And hopefully I can, the least I can do is bring Justin a jacket next time.
Well, I've been helping Chuck craft his, want ad in the local, San Diego Times there, looking for a herp partner, married white male.
No, I partner. Yeah, I do need a ride or die, herping buddy out here. That would definitely
be optional.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, dude, like there are listen, you can't run stories in San Diego about like experienced hikers going out into the Anza Borrego and never coming back, and then they find their body like a month later, and then you're like, Chuck, why aren't you out there herping by yourself? Because I don't want to die. Right. I don't want to die.
Makes fair sense. Yeah.
That's the ultimate Schmitty tears right there.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Just because I don't want to.
We know the top of the scale.
Yeah, exactly. All right, fine. I'll get on your Schmitty scale. Yeah, that's fine, Julie.
Oh, man. Maybe Trevor does exist, and you can.
But say if he's really good, I think you can get past the nudity. Like it's just,
I feel like he's chasing me around with a snake hook. Get back here!
Get this spine out of me!
Come on, man!
Oh my God.
We'll find you somebody. We'll get you.
Cool, man.
Don't worry. We'll put something out there.
Oh, okay. Oh, and you have any closing thoughts?
None. I hate all of you for going.
Just mad that you didn't get
without
to go.
Me. I am. I'm glad you guys did well. I'm glad you guys found a ton of stuff. I am, and the fact that like you guys should have known the second the trip started, I was jealous and just filled with just rage that the fact that I was sitting on my sofa. And just, I really want to get out there and do more. And I do think but it's a blast hearing that you guys had a good time, had a good trip, found some cool stuff, and that we got video and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, hopefully I'll get to come on one of these at some point soon, maybe ish. But yeah, it's cool. Dying to go out again.
Nice. Okay. I think, I think we did it. And it's an awesome time. And until the next adventure, and look forward to Reptile Fight Club with Billy. And this show will be up on, I should say that if you're listening to this, as opposed to watching this, we shared a lot of the pics and stuff. So you might want to go check it out on YouTube. Otherwise, you'll be seeing them soon enough in some videos and stuff of recapping the trips. So
hashtag MPR and SoCal. That's
right.
That's what I've been putting on all my pictures on Instagram. So
I went with
cool.
Yeah. So check it out. Well, thanks, fellas. And until next time.
Catch everybody back here next time.
Good, Owen. Take us out.
Oh, for fuck's sake. It was done. It was done.
You got some competition, man.
No.
You got some competition.
What do you
I know
mean?
you're the OG of the closer.
What?
You are the
Which
hold on.
one of
You're
these is...
Wait, hold on. Listen to me. Listen to me.
All right,
quiet.
all right.
Put the hood on. Put the hood on. Put the hood on. There you go.
I'm
All right,
calm.
there you go. I must say that you are the OG closer of the podcast. However, you do have some stiff competition with the man right next to you because, dude, he's got some killer closing. So I don't know. We're gonna have a close off right now. Here we go.
Chuck. No.
I hope Chuck's ready. I don't mean to put him on the spot. Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Owen.
No. Chuck can go first.
Oh man, now I've got to get a good one, but.
If you're saying close off, you got to talk about Trevor.
I'm stumped now.
Trevor out.
I'm trying to.
I thought he was going to go with the steering wheel.
The steering wheel. I forgot about the steering wheel. All right, from Eric, Owen, and Trevor, Justin, Bob, and Chuck. If you're not herping naked, you definitely don't give a fuck.
All right, Owen.
I concede.
This is the real Fight Club.
No, that was
Bring
good.
it on.
I concede. I end on that one. Nope. That was the best I'm going to do is catch you all next week for some more Morelia Python Radio. Good night. That's it. That's done. But no, that was fantastic.